and our players are geared up, ready to go here. On our left, of course, Brandon Baughn. I'm sure feeling very good going into this. So it was super hyped, jamming backstage, but let's take a look at these accomplishments as well. Top 16 in Vancouver, a couple top 64s on there, San Antonio and Salt Lake City, as well as another top 64 in Baltimore as well.
Yeah, playing the Lugia Archeops, and this has been a tale of calling the meta. Brandon has faced 9 control variants. He has defeated 9 control variants, if you don't count the one that he gave away because he wanted to see it in top 8.
And 9's also including this one too, Kyle.
That's right.
This
well,
one.
I don't want to call the future, I suppose. This would be the 9th, and if he could take down Lucas, that would be quite a feat. An incredible player on the other side of the table. Mr. Lucas Xing with the top 4 in Vancouver of this year. Look at all these accomplishments from just this year. Top 8, top 16 in Toronto, Indianapolis, and Pittsburgh. Just the picture of consistency, and you know he wants to add that championship to his title. He's been playing in the group with Bradner and John Ang and Reagan Retzloff, and he is the one to make it to the final table here now with the Pidgeot and the Hero's Cape.
Yeah, we see Lucas's name all around. Such a skilled player, but I'll tell you what, I talked to Lucas before top 8 match even started, and I was saying, you think you can win this all? And Lucas was saying, I don't know, if a Lugia is in the finals, it's going to be pretty tough here. So many accomplishments there, but will Lucas be able to get through Lugia on the other side of this bracket? What do you think about those prize cards, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, for Brandon, that's not terrible. You can work with those prizes. On the other side, Lucas is typically going to run into a little more trouble with all of the one-of counts. You see the Regieleki there, the Radiant Charizard. These are pieces that you'd like to accumulate here and there, especially if you're going to work in a nice stall strategy or just go for that closeout power with the Radiant Charizard. We'll see if that comes into play here.
Yeah, it might get a little bit clunky here, but we're going to start off our grand finale here in Los Angeles. Our Masters Finals underway here. Let's hear it from our crowd as we kick off this match. There's 75 minutes on the clock, so plenty of time to get a nice conclusion to this game. And I'll tell you what, Lucas is going to be doing everything in his power to get to that win, but it's going to be tough, and I'm sure he's hoping that Brandon on the other side maybe doesn't have a great starting game.
Yeah, let's hear it from Luminion, everyone. Luminion with the finals appearance here to start things off.
I mean,
what a tough start.
I feel like that always happens every time.
And this is not Lugia Archeops of old. You are not going to just throw the special energy on there and shuffle yourself back into the deck with Aqua Return. You got to wait till Twilight Masquerade for that. You are stuck there. This is going to have to be using a way to move this Pokemon at the end, maybe a collapsed stadium to move it out of the board. It's an awkward setup, and Lucas loves to see that. That's an easy Pokemon that he could either target down to lock into the active spot or maybe steal some easy prize cards off of.
Exactly. It's definitely a liability, and it got 0 utility out of that Luminous sign as well for Brandon. But Lucas, on the other side, is starting off with a Nest Ball here to get out that Rotom, so we're going to see some instant charges happening. Okay, so on paper here, Kyle, looking at this matchup, I mean, we already know that Brandon has played through 8 control decks, has won every single one except for the one that he intentionally conceded going into top 8. So what do you do against this deck, Lugia VSTAR, if you're Lucas? Like, what are your routes here, Kyle?
Well, that doesn't seem fair. We can try to piece it together. Well, ultimately, for Lucas, give yourself as many cards to work with. Go into that Pidgeot as soon as possible, and maybe you can develop a plan of either pure aggression towards your opponent to maybe take apart some of those pieces, like the Archeops. If they're vulnerable, you can target those down, try to take those knockouts, leave your opponent in that just draw, pass, draw, attach situation. Or if you can maybe use something like that Mawile, lock up a Pokemon, you can get your opponent in a spot where a Chi-Yu can come out of nowhere and just start discarding all of those useful resources.
Well, I'm sure Lucas is going to have all of that on the brain as we started already with that extra draw support from that Rotom V. Was going to end the turn, though. Now we're over to Brandon's side of things as well. Starting with that Capturing Aroma, and we're taking a look through the deck here now. I'm sure all 60 of those cards are in there, or on the field, huh, Kyle?
At least 54 of them. We got a couple of the prizes.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Hey, that's a part of the field, okay?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, this is obviously you want to know exactly what you're working with here. You have plenty of time, and you know that as the Lugia player, you're going to take prize cards. It's inevitable at this point. It's just when can you get the setup rolling. If you can do it as early as turn 2, then you have the potential to start stealing those additional prize cards before your opponent finds that Pidgeot or is able to draw into enough cards with that Rotom V. And that's the name of the game. With just the Minccino, it's not what you love to see. But Call for Family finds Lugia, and we like that.
Yeah, we definitely like to see that. Absolutely. It's funny. I was actually looking for what was rolled off the capturing room, and I couldn't find the dice, and it was on the Luminion. It was that Tails as well, but of course we know what was there now. But yeah, we're gonna have these Pokemon be drawn out of the deck here for Brandon off of that Call for Family. Some utility there out of the Minccino. You'll love to see it.
Right, this is a list that plays 17 energies, and along with that is the 4 jet energies. They're so important to that way to move in and out of the active spot, take advantage of situations where your opponent thinks that they might have the right Pokemon locked in the active, or they may not have to deal with a threat this turn. Instead, Minccino is able to take full advantage of that and add some additional Pokemon to the board, which means Lugia VSTAR is a threat.
It is so nice to see, and I feel like a lot of people might be wondering, how did Lugia get to this point here? And I mean, it's a lot of control out there, but I just want to point out, Brandon said, I'm going to go against what everyone's saying about how bad Lugia is, because I feel like it is going to be a strong field of just a ton of control. So that meta call was amazing here. And now look at this finals there for Brandon. Lucas here, playing off of this Arven, it's going to grab that Forest Seal Stone, going to have access to anything in the deck. Once he wants to activate that there, as well as that Buddy Poffin to get these Pokemon out on the field. Of course, 70 HP or less. I'm sure you're familiar, Kyle.
Yeah, I've seen that once or twice, and especially when you see the Buddy Poffin, you know Rare Candy is already in hand, as the Forest Seal Stone can search out the Pidgeot, and that is ready to roll. As now the Rare Candy Pidgeot, turn 2 is out there, and you could even continue to add on to the hand size with the Cleffa, or you can get feisty with the Entei.
Yes.
Love to see the energy attachment there.
Yeah, the Entei V here, one of Hagster's picks for our caster selections. What does that card add to this deck as far as an inclusion here?
Yeah, well, not only is it a great answer to Dialga V-Star, as we've seen it start to raise in the meta, we've seen that percentage continue to rise up, but just having an attacker in this deck can be so important. It doesn't have to be Rare Candy into Charizard. It doesn't have to be after all the prize cards fall, Radiant Charizard starts to work into the mix. Instead, now you have this answer where your opponent has to deal with this threat, and that's just 2 free prize cards for the Charizard to come back out and start dealing 240, which is a lot more relevant of a number.
Well, we see Lucas stacking up the hand here with a ton of resources there, and we're back over to Brandon's side of the field now. It's pretty wild to see only 1 card has been played here so far, but hopefully we're still sitting pretty depending on what is going on with this hand. We're going to start things off with an Ultra Ball. It's only going to be 1 Archeops hitting the discard pile as of now, and a Mist Energy as well.
Yeah, it could have been the age-old tale of, is 1 Archeops enough? But this is a hand that can get it done.
Yes.
The second Ultra Ball, this means another Archeops will hit the discard pile. You lose a couple of those Mist Energies.
Just a couple?
That's a sacrifice we're willing to make.
Yeah. Definitely in that Ultra Ball. Of course, you can search anything out with Ultra Ball. The first one was that Archeops to toss it in the discard. This next one is going to be that evolution for that Lugia, turning it into a Lugia V-Star. And of course, that very familiar V-Star power summoning star. We're going to see the flip of that V-Star marker to get those chops onto the field. So we got a side of chops here, Kyle.
We love the chops, and sure enough, they're going to make a great impact. The question now is, what is in the rest of the hand? Is this a hand that has Cinccino and Boss's orders, knockout Pidgeot? No. It's going to be a Lugia V-Star doing some nice, honest work against likely a Cleffa.
It ain't much, but it's honest work.
That's right. It's going to do exactly what it needs to. But this for Lucas, you take a look at this and you say, whoa, I've seen 7 energies already.
Yes, that is a bit scary.
That's not bad.
For Brandon.
You've seen plenty so far. And what is this last card? He's gonna just reveal that this is my hand.
That's it.
A prize card.
Yeah, that is going to be the hand. One single prize card taken. Oh, I didn't get to see what it was there, but yeah, that's all we had to it. Those Archeops charging up those energy there. Lugia VSTAR taking a prize card off that tiny little Cleffa that was left in the active, and Lucas is available to respond here. Going to retreat out of that Pidgeot, of course, full free into that Entei V with the Miss Energy on it.
Yeah, and love to see this as well. The fleet-footed immediately to start. If you find the card that you would have searched for with the quick search, you just get rewarded. It's like 2 quick searches that turn.
Yeah.
Looked like it was a penny, which could be a pretty interesting card to throw into the mix. We are dealing with 230 hit points. The attacking Pokemon on the other side deals 220. I like that math.
I like it too. That is definitely what you want to be seeing here if you're Lucas. You don't want to lose these precious prize cards here. So Lucas is definitely going to take a look at the hand. As we've talked about, there are a ton of cards in it right now. So just weighing all these resources out, because this is going to take a lot of planning as far as these future turns. And that's what you see with these decks. But Ultra Ball is going to get us a Pokemon out of the deck here after a couple of discards.
Yeah, it looked like the Pidgeot quick search was for a rare candy. Now the Ultra Ball can find that Charizard. You don't have to search for a fire energy if you just throw 3 onto the board, and that's going to work pretty nicely here. Not only do you have the Entei ready to go, but Charizard waiting in the wings could take the knockout on the Lugia VSTAR on the following turn. We saw that penny as well in the hand, so you can avoid giving up some prizes. Ooh. Is this the boss's orders where you start chopping it up? I love this strategy.
Yep. Yeah, you talked about this already, Kyle. You know, you have to put as many obstacles in front of your opponent as possible, and that's what Lucas is going to be doing here.
Wow, look at that.
The dominance here. Not only is it an Entei V that's about to take out one of these Archeops, an essential piece of the Lugia VSTAR deck, but it's also going to get a little bit of extra HP here. And by that, I mean 100 extra HP on that Entei V as well.
There you go. You're now out of range of a Chinchino. You knocked out the Archeops. It can only search out 2 energies a turn. Even if you attach from hand onto a Chinchino that doesn't currently exist right now, you're only dealing 280 damage. It's not nearly enough to handle this Entei.
Yeah, this has been beautiful. It's been clean. And this, if you're going to beat Lugia, this is definitely the way to do it. I mean, just that Charizard EX, I mean, a tiny line being in this deck, but seeing the utility of that Infernal Rain ability to get all of those energy out and just put those threat levels on the board is incredible here. And Brandon is now feeling a little nervous, I'm sure, after one of those Archeops is gone. And the only way to get him out is that Summoning Star. So unfortunately, retired at this point in this match.
It did its job. It loves hanging out in the discard pile, and it's going to go back to its home now. And this is certainly going to be a big turn now for Brandon, as you understand that there's a lot of pressure on you. The PAL pad may have been the most devastating part of that turn, because yes, you did lose to the 1 boss's orders there, but now it's shuffled back into the deck.
Yeah, that's
Pidgeot
scary.
Quick Search is waiting to take that knockout once more, and once you get your opponent into draw, attach, pass, draw, attach, attack, whatever it may be, you can definitely work with that as a control player.
Yeah, the pressure is on here, and it is definitely brought up by that Pidgeot EX that adds so much utility to the deck, being able to just search out whatever you want here. And unfortunately, Brandon's just going to have to take a swing into the super bulky Entei V. And
that's the boss's orders in hand. Look at that.
Was it top decked?
I mean, it is a 1-of copy of Boss's Orders, and it was found, I assume, off of the fleet-footed.
Wow.
That's exactly what we were talking about last turn. When you get bonus quick search because you win the 1 in 30 flip there.
Wild. Lucas, all the luck on his side of the field here in this game 1 between these players.
Now the problem is, I'm pretty sure Lucas's heart was set on using Penny this turn, but
true.
now he's got a debate. Do you just handle this Archeops right here, right now? Yes, you lose some pretty valuable resources in that Entei V and the Hero's Cape as well, but it's so tempting.
I know. I feel like I'd rather be having those debates, though, versus the debates that Brandon's probably having on the other end of the field here.
Like, oh, man. I wish I could play one of those supporter cards. They look fun.
Yeah. What's that? Here's my hand, 2 cards right now. And it's going to be the boss's orders.
Wow.
Here, look at the dominance in this move here, taking out this second Archeops from the field. Kyle, how are you feeling about this?
I think Lucas has the perfect perfect game plan. We talked about the way that you can handle this matchup. This is exactly it. It seems so unlikely. It's a 1/0/1 Charizard, the one Entei, the one everything, except for the 2/0/2 Pidgeot line. And it showed up as early as turn 3 with a boss's orders.
Whew, Lucas feeling focused, I'm sure, but very happy to see what's going on here. And Brandon just stuck in a pickle here. Both Archeops down. Lugia VSTAR does still have the energy, of course, so we're still going to get this knockout here on the Entei V. But we're going to have to see some more from Brandon going forward. At least we have the energy already out on the field at this point.
Well, there are 2 copies of Pad, so maybe there's an instance where if you have the double turbo in hand, the Pidgeot could attack into that Minccino and remove that big threat, and then there's one final threat remaining, that Lugia VSTAR. Allow your opponent to take some prize cards, and then Charizard can easily handle that Pokemon.
Well, from Lucas here, going to start off with an Arven for this turn.
Look at this. Yeah, Lucas is losing right now. It doesn't feel like it, but Prime Catcher would be an option too.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah, there's a lot here that we're working with, Kyle.
Or counter catcher, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I guess technically either one, but yes, I know what you meant, Kyle. Yeah. Your favorite.
It's back.
Well, off of that Arven, we have the Hisuian Heavy Ball, as well as that Defiance band being sought out of the deck. I'm going to go into the prize cards with the Heavy Ball here for Lucas.
Yeah, at this point, you start to identify which attackers you have remaining. The Radiant Charizard can help clean up. At this point, the Charizard EX is looking to potentially have that Vitality Band to incorporate a little extra damage too, and this is looking pretty great for Lucas here.
Yeah, I'm sure feeling super happy at this point in time for Lucas, and all the cards are just lining up here now, and it has been super smooth. We're even going to have an additional pad here, and look at Brandon's face at this point. Okay, all right, sweet, going back in the deck, awesome.
I know you play one. How have you bossed me 3 times already?
It's brutal. Like, honestly, I cannot believe that's how this is going here. I really expected it to be a lot more clunky, but Lucas is just flying through these turns. Radiant Charizard now hitting the field for Lucas Xing.
Yeah,
we're cruising.
At this point now, you can just play out every one of these one-ofs. Now you have that energy for the Radiant Charizard if your opponent is able to potentially ever handle this Charizard EX or knock out that Rotom, whatever it may be, you have the answer there. And Lucas even has the backup plan of Pidgeot with the double turbo to knock out some of these smaller Pokemon on the bench.
Yeah, this is like the third backup plan that we have at this point, Kyle.
There's so many answers. You could throw the energy on the Radiant Charizard if you want, so that you can incorporate that a little sooner. They're all winning lines.
Exactly. We're discussing multiple winning lines over there on Lucas's side, but then for Brandon, losing another Lugia VSTAR here. 2 prizes down for Lucas. Only 2 left to take to taste this win in this game. And Brandon just looking at a little Minccino, and really not a lot of cards in the hand either, huh, Kyle?
Yeah, he's maybe going to taste the special sushi roll coming up. Minccino finally has an opportunity to see the board, but you have to combo that with boss's orders to take a relevant knockout here, and even then, you're still 1 prize short, and you're attaching a single energy per turn. Which Pokemon gets the job done? This is no longer a list that has Radiant Charizard. We're going to move on to game 2 already.
Incredible showing there from Lucas. And that's going to be it for our game 1. Lucas is taking things down here with the control deck. And, I mean, we've gone over this so many times. Brandon has gone through a variety of control decks back and forth, and still Lucas stands in the way. And I guess I should say this, because I talked to Lucas, and, you know, he was saying, yeah, I don't know, it's going to be a tough finals if I have to face off against Lugia. But you know what else he said, Kyle?
Let's hear it.
He said, I'll just play better.
Ooh, sign me up. It is on me to change my fate, and I love hearing that. He has that opportunity now. Of course, we saw how everything can go right in this opening game. Was able to find the turn 2 Pidgeot. It just searched into everything perfectly. The Entei lines up so well with the math there in the beginning stages. Brandon really just did not have an answer, and when that boss is played back to back to back, you can't beat this.
I mean, it was incredible. It was a quick game as well. You know, I thought it'd be quick in the other direction, but it really was not. I mean, the Cleffa was removed from field there with that play from Brandon, but hitting the discard pile. I'll tell you what, it lost a lot more on the side here was that Archeops hitting the discard pile for Brandon, and that was Lucas's strategy here. Take out these Archeops, debilitate my opponent completely so that there is no strategy in the late game of winning this. Versus what Lucas was doing here, lining up all these attackers, having several backup plans so that no matter what happened on the other side of the field, Lucas was ready to respond. And that is what got him the win here in our game 1.
It worked out so well. We see Brandon's deck is called Big Lug. That's what he's named this deck.
Big Lug.
You know
ready
what he
to
forgot?
slug. What?
He forgot the chops.
I know, little chops. Exactly.
When you show no respect to chops, the chops are punished. Double fire energy in the prize cards could be a little awkward there for Lucas. And the Entei as well, the MVP, along with that Forest Seal Stone. Where we ran out of the rest of the deck list over here.
I was about to say, how many energy are in there? Oh, wait, we printed this off, and it's 2 pages, and I don't have the other page, so I can't see the energy amount. That is funny. Well, oh, my gosh, look at this, Kyle. What just happened?
This is my favorite stalemate.
Oh.
You can't knock me out.
Yeah, that was it, though. It's just a pass with the Mimikyu there. Yeah, you can't knock me.
Do something.
Yeah, nice little guarded Mimikyu there in the active position. And Brandon now on. This is our turn 2 of the game here, but turn 1 for Brandon. Gonna Ultra Ball right away, but that is 2 evolutions hitting the discard pile already here for Brandon. Refresh me on the prize cards, Kyle. Anything wild?
Those fire energies was the only thing I noticed.
Nothing crazy for Brandon,
Brandon seemed like he was going to have a fine game here. Now, you see the Ultra Ball. Likely these Ultra Balls are going to find an Archeops, and you may be reading the wind in a point like this. Maybe there's a supporter to go along with it.
Yeah.
But you have no pressure on the other side. No Rotom drawing additional cards. No Buddy Poffin.
Yeah.
To be Candy Pidgeot, Candy Charizard, Ka-Chow. It's not happening this time around. What is the answer here? Luminion could search out for that supporter to help out too.
True, yes.
We'll see what the choice is here for Brandon.
Yeah, there is the option of a supporter since this is turn 2 here of the game. So we'll see what Brandon chooses to do, but it looks like it is going to most likely be this Luminion coming down onto the field.
Yeah, depending on the rest of the hand, if there's another Ultra Ball, the Jacques would be an incredible play. You can search out both of those evolution Pokemon.
Yeah.
It looks like this is lining up just dandy.
That honestly might be what is in hand. I don't know. The Pokemon are being laid out here. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. There you go.
Sign me up for some Jacques gameplay.
Yeah, that was a special artwork of it, but looks snazzy here for Brandon Baughn. And I'll tell you what else is snazzy. These plays right now. This is exactly what you want to see as the Lugia player in this match right now. Ultra Ball discarding those 2 Archeops. After that, Jacques, of course, drawing out those Archeops. And this is clean. We just I love.
Nice.
Wow. That is so brutal here. I mean, we saw that call for family in our last game, and we're going to see it once again here from Brandon.
Just for one.
Yes, just for one. You're waiting for that, huh, Kyle?
Don't do
it. Just for one, Minchino here joining the board. But the opposite of what happened in the last game was Lucas had at least established a little bit more with that Rotom V. Now, it's just the Mimikyu inactive so far, but it's not over. It's far from over. We're going to start off with an Arven here, and Lucas is going to be keeping track of the resources and, of course, mapping out what is in the prize cards here. Definitely going to probably take note that there's a couple energy missing.
Yeah, unfortunate to see there. It leads to not having all of the resources to take knockouts, and this is a threat. Brandon could have the turn 2 Chinchino ready to roll and load that Pokemon up by way of Summoning Star into Archeops, into Energies Galore. Mimikyu would easily be knocked out. And then how do you answer this Pokemon? As it will seemingly just collect piles of special energies, and if there's a boss's orders, that's knockout on Pidgeot, that's knockout on potentially Charizard, and then you can really start to fly to game 3.
Yeah, exactly. We've discussed how smoothly the last game here went for Lucas, but this is where things could get potentially a little more clunky as well. And if Brandon is able to have a nice, smooth, clean gameplay because Lucas isn't able to show that aggression as we saw in the last game, could get a little tricky here. But Arvin is going to select that first card. It's going to be the item card, of course, off the Arvin, as well as a tool card coming out.
Yep, this is where I put my Forest Sealstone, if I had one. It's in the prize cards, and this now means that the Rotom V is not going to be the recipient of that, which would have led to what? Maybe a Buddy Poffin. You could search out all of your Pokemon, draw 3 additional cards, and then you do threaten to have an attack or at least some search with that Pidgeot at some point. And instead now it's this slow pace. We're going to just instant charge and hopefully find some help here, because this is not how you win games.
Yeah, that's tough too, because the Arvin was actually the very first card played, like, at all for Lucas, so there was really no knowledge until going into the deck from that Arvin. So it is just going to be the instant charge here.
Oh, that's not the right one.
Whoa. I was like, whoa, what just happened? Oh, listen, I don't really play the video games here, Kyle, but I can tell you that I don't think the little mouse turns into Lugia VSTAR.
Minccino reaching for its true potential.
Forget these sushi rolls. I'm out of here. Yeah, that is great to see. But yeah, Brandon flying through here now. We do see both evolutions now on deck here. The cute little Cinccino as well as that Lugia VSTAR. Primal Turbo jumping in to the deck to get these special energy cards out and accelerated onto the field.
Yep, and of course, the Mincinos and the Cincinos are going to be some of your most valuable resources. They reach the numbers that Lugia cannot, so load them up, protect them at all costs, give them that gift energy, so that if they're knocked out, you can reach for those additional cards that turn into boss's orders or whatever you need to continue to draw prizes.
Yep.
And why not Iono your opponent after they just rotomed back up?
Yeah, instant charge +3, and now back down here. 6 cards for both of our players after they shuffle their hands and put it at the bottom of their deck for each of them. Yeah, Cinccino just has so much utility. I mean, the Minccino with the call for family, you got the special roll. It's a 1-prizer as well. It's brutal.
Yeah, Minccino's dusting your house and taking care of the chores. Cinccino's keeping you fed. It's a good tag team.
Coming
and
out
it definitely
swinging.
knocks out Mimikyus.
That is for sure. Yeah, that's just another utility that you have from it. And then along with the gift energy as well, there's always some sort of utility that this cute little Pokemon is given to you. So we are just seeing, I mean, wow, this Mimikyu is going to go, and then it's just a Rotom.
Yep, good luck. You have no energy to move this Pokemon. I believe it's just the 1 mist and maybe 1 or 2 fires that are left over after you look at what's left.
Yeah, I mean, this just really shows the momentum swing here, because we're going to see that knockout now from Cinccino. And like we said, Lucas stuck with a Rotom. Let's see what that Iono was able to get. And
Lucas
of course,
doesn't even want to see what it is.
I was thinking that too.
Oh, man, are they going to make me?
He didn't even want to pick the hand up. Brutal, but the Radiant Sword's going to come down a Pidgey. It's just going to be a boss here to bring that V-Star up that has nothing on it currently. And that's it. Just the instant charge there from the Rotom V, and we're back over to Brandon.
Well, this is important as well. Now, Brandon has options. You can either use the double turbo, retreat this Pokemon. You could charge this Pokemon up, but I think the one thing you want to avoid at this point is if you do have access to a Jet Energy in the hand, do not use it right now. It's a way that you can put yourself in a trap. If that Lumineon ever gets into the tempting trap, you want to be able to move that Pokemon around and get those last few prize cards. Looks like Brandon's identified that. Clearly wants to take this knockout on the Rotom V and be up 3 prize cards here.
Yeah, it's cosplaying a little bit as a Charizard deck, but it is control at heart here. And there's a lot of those tech cards that can pop out of nowhere and put you in sticky situations. But Boss's Orders is going to bring that Pidgey up. Rotom V, you're sent back to the bench here, and that Pidgey's going straight to the discard pile. Lucas just looking at this hand like, okay, what do I do now?
Well, there goes that plan. And what do I have left? And as the prize cards are taken, it's not enough to where you could see that Defiance Band, Fire Energy, Radiant Charizard knock out a Pokemon like the Lugia VSTAR. It's still just picking away at the core pieces of the deck. We see them once more again placed on the board.
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
Pidgey,
say.
and finally a Charmander this time around. But if Brandon has the resources to pick these Pokemon off, there's no game to be had.
Exactly. It's tough. It's like you set up, your setup's gone. You set up, your setup's gone. But, I mean, at least we had some Poffin. You know, when I'm grumpy, feeling down, I just eat a Buddy Poffin.
Oh.
I feel a little better. Oh, Eerie going to come out of here.
There's no worse feeling than playing Eerie against Lugia. The only
Yeah, for real.
possible thing that could go right for you is he doesn't even
Lucas
realize.
didn't even know. Oh, there's an item?
It's like, all right, cool. I guess
Sweet.
I avoided one Chinchino evolution next
Yeah,
turn, but
exactly.
the only card you really want to see is that A-Spec Prime Catcher, and
Yeah.
it's never there when you want it.
Unfortunately.
It's just the top deck next turn.
Oh, no.
No, it's not.
I would have been so done here, Kyle. Well, I mean, it's just going to continue as we've already seen here. The momentum has definitely swung in Brandon's favor for this game, and it's continued to do so, especially after these primal turbos just go back into the deck. And Brandon's able to see what else is in there, what resources we have left to work with as far as special energy. And I know there's some in there, but it's none accelerated right now.
Safety first.
There you go.
I believe 2 jet energies are in there. You know you're going to knock out this Rotom V on this
Oh,
turn,
yes,
unless,
the
of course, you
jets.
have the boss's orders to target down some more interesting Pokemon, as you see the Pidgey and the Charmander once more. But if you have 2 jets, that means that you'll always be able to move that Lumineon twice.
Yeah, that is fantastic. We're seeing the boss's orders here. This is exactly the strategy we've been seeing so far here from Brandon, just trying to get rid of these Pokemon that Lucas is trying so hard to set up here, get some sort of game plan going. But Lugia VSTAR is going to say, sorry, Charmander, you're going to the discard pile. And Ultra Ball is going to get Lucas this Pidgeot EX. So finally, we're going to see an evolution here, of course, if we have that nice little rare candy.
Yep, it works out here. You see now the quick search is available. And Brandon's played a few resources at this point already. We see, goodness, 10 energies that are already on the board now. And you're also talking about a couple of boss's orders too. So Lucas might feel like this is an opportunity where you can catch a card like that Lumineon, trap that Pokemon, and avoid at least being attacked for a couple turns.
Yes.
And that's really all you need is buy time, let Pidgeot grab the Super Rod, find the Charmander, bring back some of these Pokemon, and just give me a chance.
Yes, but will there be enough time? That is the true question in this matchup, and Lucas is going to try to hold on as much as possible. Counter catcher, of course, being behind and prize cards being activated here to bring that Archeops up into the active position now for Lucas to swing into.
Yeah, this is also a pretty fair play too. You can with the Archeops in the active spot, maybe your opponent actually commits energies to it, goes for
Potentially,
Speed
yeah.
Wing, and you can catch them wasting resources. It's not too bad as well, but Speed Wing also applies a bit of pressure.
Yeah, that's true. There's options there, but maybe you potentially throw your opponent off their game a little bit, disrupt their game plan. Maybe they slip up. Who knows?
They just throw triple jet on the Archeops and get in there.
Whoa. Don't wish that on this game here, Kyle. All right. No, we're just going to see that nice little Mawile come into the active position and the tempting trap. It's looking pretty tempting right now.
Well, 4 cards in the hand. JET is what we're looking for.
JET, indeed. Oh, wow. Taking a look through the discard pile here for Brandon. I mean, there's a lot of cards in hand, too, aren't there?
What is the discard pile going to tell you at this point?
I don't know. I guess how many energy are in
There's
there?
nothing to get back.
Listen, we're just figuring things out as we
Okay.
go here, Kyle.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, indeed.
Oh, look at this. This is the energies for the Archeops. So Speed Wing is going to put on as much pressure as it can.
Wow. Well, here we go. That Primal Turbo is going to be activated here, and now that Archeops has been lined up with energy for the Speedwing. Did you think that was potentially going to happen there, Kyle?
Well, you have a few choices. You can either get aggressive, attack into this Pokemon, or you can wait until you find Jet. And if your hand has no supporters,
You don't have it, yeah.
you need to put pressure on this Pokemon. Then your opponent can't go searching for Penny, pick this up, and stall every turn. They have to, they can't go searching for the Charmander, rather. They have to use the Penny now, and that buys you that time because they're not building on their board state at that point.
Well, that Archeops at least now is able to not just be trapped in the active here. It actually has some sort of utility, but we're playing a couple more cards here. Ultra Ball. Going to discard 2 Pokemon there, and that Lugia VSTAR and the Archeops now as well.
Yes, seemed potentially if Chinchino was around, but after the early discard of one, maybe one in the prize cards potentially, it's looks like that isn't going to be an option, and it's a pretty big tell for Lucas as he takes a look and realizes, oh, you didn't evolve. All right, I don't have to worry about that guy.
Awkward.
Okay, there it is.
Oh my gosh, it was a hand.
It's the other card in his hand. Sure, thanks.
That looked really scary for a second. That looked really scary. Like the last thing you want to give is a control player information about your deck. So glad that we saw that Chinchino coming down there for Brandon. So lots of Pokemon that are fully evolved now and have lots of energy on them. Let's see what Lucas is going to do. It's exactly what you called there, Kyle. That Penny's going to scoop all that damage
Baited.
up.
Look at this. Now, now he wants you to do it with the other one. Go ahead. Play a gift energy. Play a double turbo. Put him on this Pokemon. I want to see, what, 15 energy on the board at this point? He wants to see every single energy so that he can try to lock up that Lumineon.
Yep, this is it. The tempting trap has been activated again thanks to that Penny, allowing you to pick that Pokemon right back up and get it back down there. Archeops, once again. The other one. The other chop here. We got the Prime
It's
Catcher.
better than a jet. It knocks out the bird.
The bird here. The power of the sushi roll. The Chinchino now up in the active. Thanks to that Prime Catcher, as well as gusting that Pidgeot EX into the active for Lucas's side.
This is an MVP play for Prime Catcher. Brandon has seen this time and time again on the stream. It's been Ionos from the opponent into boss's orders. Now the Iono for himself finds the Prime Catcher. One prize card away and plenty of jet energies to avoid the traps. I'm liking Brandon's chances.
Yeah, this is beautiful here for Brandon. Thanks to that special roll, taking out that Pidgeot EX. 70 damage for each special energy that is on that Chinchino. That's an expensive roll, I'll tell you what.
Yep, I can't afford that one. I'll go with the California.
Well, we are going to see the counter catcher. Of course, Lucas well behind in this matchup to be able to activate that counter catcher, get Lumineon V into the active position now. But we know Brandon's got a little more tricks up the sleeve, potentially. They're still remaining in deck, but are they in the hand?
My favorite, the discard pile check.
Just checking.
Who cares? It's not a jet energy, and we have not seen that yet, so this Pokemon's still remaining. Great Ball potentially could find an additional Pokemon that you can throw into the hand and have
thinning out your deck here.
A couple more resources. Thinning is weaning.
Yeah, the new saying. Thinning is weaning here. Thinning is winning for sure. And that is going to be a Great Ball, getting another Pokemon out of there. Brandon just needs to hit a couple more things here and take home a victory in this game. Only one prize card left to take. But unfortunately, the trap is activated right now.
There's
with that
so
Lumineon.
many opportunities here.
7 cards here for Brandon. Can we see a jet energy?
Where's my boy Blue?
Yeah, honestly, that artwork is
there
sweet.
It is.
There it is. The jet energy coming down here for Brandon Baughn. That's going to throw that Chinchino up into the active position and take a knockout there. The last knockout needed to go to a 1-1. This is a game 3 in our Masters finals here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's right. Plenty of time, too. About halfway through our 75 minutes here, and that is a perfect opportunity for us as we move into game 3. Both players showing off some great play in these opening games. We know the strategies now. It's just, can Lucas find the cards at the beginning? Brandon put on so much pressure in this game. And you can still argue that things didn't go perfectly for Brandon. He was, he was missing a little bit in those middle spots, but he played it correctly. He had the resources to attack with the Speed Wing and put the pressure on. And pressure started early here as we saw turn 2 Chinchino
Yeah, look
giddy
at
up.
that. Look at that. Just the difference in board state there. I mean, we were just left with a Rotom V for a while, but Brandon didn't take that Rotom V out. It was going after the Pidgey, the Charmander, one after one.
Look how many turns Lucas attempted to feed him the Rotom.
Yeah, I know.
No,
Take it,
boss's
please.
orders. Boss's orders again. I do not want this knockout. I'll take it when I'm ready.
Exactly. Hey, our great players know exactly where to take their knockouts. They assess the threat levels on the board, and they take them where they need them to win the long game, not just take prize cards. And that was it for that game there. Brandon Baughn bringing us to a 1-1 here. I hope our crowd out there is hyped to see this final.
That's right. What do we have left? This is a very important opening hand for both of our players here in Game 3.
Very important.
I'm going to wish that there's no fish.
Please, no, don't start Lumineon here. Yeah, okay, so now I'm a bit scared here, Kyle, because we've kind of seen this go both ways for our players. Oh,
so many energies, stop!
I know, I was about to say, that was a lot of energy. I mean, we saw 2 fire energy in the last
penny
prizes.
Too.
That's bad.
That's not
yeah,
ideal.
This is real bad, actually, on Lucas's side. Over for Brandon, a couple of Pokemon, a couple energies, but I mean, what do we have, like 17? That is a lot. So,
work with that.
All right, here we are. We're kicking things off. I'm hoping for some luck here on Lucas's side with some difficult prize cards to start off with, but we're in our Masters Finals, Game 3 here. NTV at least getting some utility out of that fleet-footed, drawing an extra card for the initial turn here for Lucas. Plenty of time on the clock to play things down here for both of our players. Nestball going to start us off on Lucas's side, and that Rotom V is out on the field as well.
Yep, it's just taking a look at those energies. It's 2 fire energies and the mist energy, I believe, that are available in the deck. And, of course, we saw the 3 energies that are in the prizes as well. And Lucas is well aware of that. Those are some pretty important resources. But 2 fires is enough for a Charmander if you can find those pieces. It is more important, however, to establish that Rotom and start to draw with the instant charge. And it looks like that is the #1 priority here.
Yeah, this is a control style deck, so we need a lot of resources here to be able to bring these strategies to the forefront here for Lucas. And we're going to just hope to see if you're Lucas, that Brandon doesn't have a super strong start as we saw in our last game between these players. Brandon really had everything. I mean, we saw those Archeops hit the discard almost immediately last time thanks to that Jock. What is Brandon working with here? Of course, the Mew-X is in the active position now. Definitely much better than a Lumineon start.
Yeah, it's blue, but we can work with this. Free retreat, to copy some cool attacks, and it can draw you some cards every once in a while.
Exactly.
And does Brandon doesn't like seeing the heads on the capturing aroma. That makes me worry about the hand.
This is scary. This is scary here. Looking at the hand, doesn't seem too happy. Didn't go straight into the deck right off the bat off this capturing aroma. Of course, you can have heads or tails here off of this dice. It's going to be a heads, which means that's an evolution Pokemon versus a basic, which is why we're a bit scared here. What is in the hands?
Right.
Do we have other Pokemon?
Typically, you play capturing aroma, you see heads.
Yeah,
that means
hyped.
you're throwing away an Archeops.
Exactly.
And you're doing great, but that's only when you have a good hand. With the bad hand, you want to see Minchino and call for family.
Surely we have a supporter. Please don't be Professor's Research if it's good cards.
I'll say surely we have an energy. I can't guarantee a supporter,
no.
but we'll see.
Lots of cards in hands, but we haven't been able to see them yet. So Brandon is just going to keep track of these resources as far as what is in deck, identifying what's in the prize cards. We did see a couple energy, an Archeops, Lugia VSTAR as well, but capturing aroma is still the play here for Brandon for an evolution Pokemon.
The longer this takes, the happier Lucas has to be.
Exactly. Like, we're not moving fast.
And that means either you're going to lose a lot of resources on a professor's research, or you have nothing.
I will say, though, Kyle, Brandon is one for the theatrics.
That's true.
You remember?
He did sneak that Chinchino in on us.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, we saw the Great Ball, we were scared, and then a Chinchino flew out of nowhere. In another game, or after another game Brandon played, we were talking to him, and he was like, yeah, I was trying to think of which play would have been more entertaining for the stream. So, Brandon, hopefully that is what we're working with as far as a difficult hand, at least. But we're going to see in a second, depending on what Brandon decides to do with the rest of this turn.
plenty of cards to work with.
Okay, can I see
The
them?
angle is not
I know.
great.
My eyes are already bad enough, Brandon. Please tilt them a little. All right. Oh wow, it's just looking like energy potentially coming down onto this MUEX. I mean, this is
soap opera level.
yeah. What is happening?
On the other side, Lucas drew into a fantastic hand on the Rotom V, so he's just grinning
Yeah,
ear to ear on that side.
cruising.
What is happening? It is
Okay,
the Serena to discard.
Wow,
To how many cards? 2, 3?
that is brutal. Yeah, I guess there's just 2 left in hand.
Is
They're
there a
drawing
basic
up to
Pokemon?
5.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, yeah, that is tough. That is the basic Pokemon we were looking for here, found off of that Serena for just a couple of cards, stacking the hand up to 5 total in the hand, but that's it. It's just the energy down, the mist energy down onto the MUEX. Lugia V now on the field. But Lucas is on the other side here. Tons of cards in hand now, thanks to that instant charge on the last turn. We do have the fleet-footed still as well. That Pidgey is ready to get evolved into a Pidgeot EX. And that's happening right now on your screen from a rare candy. So lots of card potential here for Lucas. And the push is in Lucas's hands here to take the momentum in this game 3.
Yeah, I mean, if you can move the Entei, you could attack with the Pidgeot and start putting pressure on the Mew if you wanted. Well, actually, you can't. It's the double turbo that's in the prize cards,
you're
right?
So,
how do you go about this? I suppose the best way is to just focus on that Charmander, and that looks to be the case. The Buddy pop in the Forest Seal Stone now, and you can search out that Charmander. Next turn, you will have the energies to accelerate those fire energies, and you can choose whether it's more important to play those onto the Entei or the Charizard. And at this point, it might just be aggressive Charizard because there's no Pokemon on the other side. Entei's not attacking for very much.
Exactly. Entei is not attacking for very much indeed, but Charizard definitely would be. And, you know, Lucas is, I'm sure, very well aware of the energy that are still in deck, what is in the prize cards as well. So you know that he's formulating his strategies here around that. For Sealstone is going to be played down onto that Rotom V, allowing it to actually have a V-Star power in the Star Alchemy. That's why we see that V-Star token being flipped now. Any card that you'd like being drawn out of your deck. So it's a quick search, but in a tool. So double quick search, really.
Yeah, valuing the mist energy in this spot, which is a little odd because next turn, likely you'd think that you'd have access to the rare candy and the Charizard. But safety first, if you don't find any of those pieces, then next turn the quick search can just go for a fire energy, and you can attack with the Entei. So a little bit of a hedge here.
We're stabilizing. We're stabilizing. All right, we're over onto Brandon's side of the field now. Let's see if Brandon can stabilize this match here. We already have 1 Archeops in the discard pile off of that Serena that we saw played in the first turn. Lugia V also came down, thankfully, so we'd be able to get into that V-Star if it is available here for Brandon. But this is looking just as brutal as far as choices go.
Yeah, I mean, he showed off like 6 potential actions with the way his hand swung around, so he's got something to do. But Lumineon looked to be the primary target this turn to at least get the ball rolling.
Yeah, it just looks like there's a lot of debate. Maybe Brandon potentially getting in his head a little bit in this matchup here. I mean, it just looks grueling, every single decision that is being made on this side for Brandon. But Lumineon V is going to be the decision here. That is made. Luminous Sign being bringing Jacques out of the deck.
Oh, with the Jacques, you can search out, find that Archeops. You can get those evolution Pokemon that you're going to need, and so the Lugia V-Star, it may be one of those missing pieces we saw.
I was about to say, we already have 1 Archeops in the discard pile, so 1 Archeops here off the Jock, as well as that Lugia V-Star. Sometimes, well, usually we see the double chops, but it has some other utility there in that evolution of the Lugia V.
Yep, this works out just fine. The issue now is you have no Pokemon that really challenges this Entei V, 230 hit points. Even if you have the double Archeops, the likely answer will be the Lugia V. This is a slow approach. There must not be a supporter. This is read the wind, discard the Archeops for 3.
Read the wind here. That is it. Wow, that is tough to see here, but that's exactly what we're going to see. Just the draw 3 cards now off of that Read the Wind after that Jet Energy brought the Lugia V into the active position. Lucas going to start off with a draw for turn, a fleet-footed. We're seeing the energy come down now onto that Entei V for the turn as well. Straight into a quick search, or no, Hisuian Heavy Ball first here.
Yeah, so you can't grab any of those energies, although you
I
certainly would like to.
Honestly, I still think shuffling up the prize cards hopefully is better because I think
We will see. It is very important to see where they lie.
Yes.
These prize cards may be indicative of how the rest of the game goes.
Exactly.
Those energies are so vital to closing out.
Yeah, at least the Hisuian Heavy Ball is going to be put into those prize cards. Hopefully not on the bottom if our players are taking from the bottom up as far as prize cards goes, but that Pidgey going to be drawn out of there. Hisuian Heavy Ball, okay, I'm liking it, I'm liking it. Very nice here. That is much better. The Heavy Ball's up at the top and the energy are down at the bottom. So once we're seeing those prize cards be taken, Lucas will have much more to do with this deck as far as the availability of those energy cards to charge up these alternate attackers here. Now we're going to go in with the quick search. Lucas has anything at the ready here from that nice little quick search. Takes a while to get into it. You got a rare candy into that Pidgeot EX, but there's so much utility that it holds for the rest of the match for you. Arvin is going to be played here now for Lucas, grabbing that rare candy.
Yep, just finding some additional resources now. The Defiance Band 2, if your opponent does finally start to push the aggression, target down some of those other Pokemon, as Entei's likely not to fall anytime soon, but at some point, maybe, Brandon will be aggressive. But ultimately, thinning out the deck here is important. It means every fleet-footed, every quick search just gets you closer and closer to finding the right resources to close out.
Yep, playing this like a champ here. I mean, that hand is huge. Lots of resources here that Lucas has been collecting over time. And how are you looking at this game here from here on out, Kyle? How do we rescue this?
It could be worse. If Lucas didn't use the Forest Seal Stone for the Mist Energy, this turn it could have been Rare Candy into Charizard, double Fire Energy on the Entei attacking, and then you have that threat. The Charmander is still a Pokemon that could be knocked out at some point. So perhaps if Brandon's able to target that down in combination with finding the Archeops, there's a bit of an avenue there to come back, but Minccino is a very big piece that we need to see in that final spot of the bench.
Yeah, we need to start lining something up here for Brandon as far as the late game goes, especially now that we already have damage out on the field on this Lugia VSTAR as well. But that the Primal Turbos are going to start flying here now for Brandon after, of course, that Summoning Star has brought out those colorless, no rule box Pokemon and the 2 Archeops from the discard pile. So these special energies are going to start flying here. It's just which ones will be attached where. It's going to be a gift and that double turbo energy onto this Lugia VSTAR.
Yeah, the gift energy seems to be a fair play, especially when Lugia VSTAR likely to be knocked out at some point soon.
But you got to use some cards.
Yeah, the problem is I think there's like 6 cards already in hand. So
that's what I'm saying. Play the hand down a bit.
You got to play it down, and it doesn't work out right now. How this hand is this big and still does not have a Minccino is beyond me.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to search out Pokemon usually for these Lugia decks, so it is pretty surprising here. But maybe Brandon's holding on to something that we just haven't seen here, guys.
He is. There's an Ultra Ball in there.
Oh, my gosh.
But we'll let Morty see what he's found.
Morty's conviction here.
You know, whenever your opponent
Lucas had to
verifies what your card does in finals, that's a moral victory.
Exactly. That is so funny here. I was talking to Kyle saying, oh, they still play the Morty's Conviction, right? And Kyle was like,
no, that card's
no.
trash.
Absolutely not. But yes, Morty's Conviction going to draw these extra cards here for Brandon. That's going to bring us the Capturing Aroma, which was rolled a heads here. So that is going to be another evolution Pokemon. So it's just going to be that Archeops. But the Archeops is going to be fodder to the Ultra Ball here for Brandon. But that's another Lugia VSTAR being discarded into the discard pile. One's already out in the active, and we had one in prize cards too, no?
Yeah, we're giving up on Lugia at this point. It's done its job. You're
Yeah.
Now focused on the Minccino engine.
The babies.
We're going to be making the rolls and taking the knockouts. Important to note that 20 damage is not on the Entei. That was a capture and roll with flip.
I know. It keeps happening like that.
I don't want. Well, thank goodness there's a double turbo on the Lugia. Imagine a fake knockout happening here.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that would be brutal.
It's like I don't remember you tackling me.
Yeah, wait, where's the 20 damage? No, Brandon's done a great job of moving that dice out of there after the roll. Always seems to land on the Pokemon somehow, but Mist Energy going to go down as the attachment for turn onto that Minccino on the bench, getting it ready to start rolling here, no pun intended, and then we're just going to be swinging into this Entei V with this Lugia VSTAR Tempest Dive. Of course, that double turbo, nerfing the damage output just a little bit there for that Lugia VSTAR. Now we're over to Lucas, and we're going to start off with the cutest Ultra Ball I've ever seen.
I think it was a top deck too, and
wow.
Now Lucas considering, well, how do I want to work around this? I want to see the Charizard, but I don't want to see another Pokemon. So it's important to rare candy into this Charizard. Yeah. Then you'll have access to the fleet-footed. If you penny this Pokemon, the Entei V, you can bring that back up, have access to those energies once more. And since you already have the fire there, basically recycle it, attach for the turn. Burning Darkness is going to be lined up.
Yeah, there we go. The Infernal Rain allows you to seek out those 3 fire energy, but there's none
That's a big boy. 430 hit points.
Get the dice out here, Kyle.
Is there a sushi maker big enough here to handle that Pokemon? I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just when we thought Charizard EX couldn't get any worse, now it's got a nice little cape on it. And yeah, that is brutal to see here if you're Brandon, having to work with just your Cinccino as your attackers. It's exactly what Lucas wants to see. Lucas looking pretty pleased here with that, at least.
Well, Lucas definitely has some thinking to do here, as you can knock out this Lugia VSTAR, take some prize cards, and you probably feel pretty comfortable. You could also move to your Charizard EX, and you have plenty of hit points. But if you knock out this Pokemon, you know that your opponent is only dealing 200 damage each turn, and that is much more reasonable for you to deal with. You don't have to see your opponent find upwards of, 8 more energies on this Pokemon and knock out a Charizard EX. It'd be terrifying.
Terrifying indeed. Yeah, and especially when you have options available in your supporters to kind of work around the damage being output on your field. Of course, a couple of penny are in the prize cards too, but there's 3 in the list.
It feels so counterintuitive at this point. As a Pokemon player, you love the prize map. You love knocking out all of the 2 prizers, and you could go back to back to back, take all those Pokemon off the board instead.
The greed.
It's just this little dusting mouse. He's terrifying. What is the play, though? Is it boss's orders or is it penny?
Just cleaning up here. Yeah, that is the true question.
Don't mind me, boss.
Yeah, don't mind me. Oh, it's got to touch the field here. And it's going to be the boss's orders here.
Is it Archeops? It's Archeops here. Going for the old strategy here.
Wow, yeah, it's going to be the Archeops.
This play doesn't work like it used to in the previous game. There's too many energies in play. You still have to play against the Cinccino.
Oh my gosh. So
I mean, clearly it could work. You have to chain together back-to-back boss's orders. You could go after that second Archeops. There may be enough time, but the clock is ticking.
That's very true. The clock is ticking indeed, and that is going to be the prize card, but it's not going to be that Minccino. It's going to be the Archeops going down there for Lucas from that Entei V.
All right. For the reach, Archeops does now limit the amount of damage that you could do. If you had access to both, then we could see the Cinccino reaching for potential, 420 damage with 7 energies to go. This now can only be 6 energies, which you're shooting a little underneath. It can't knock out the Charizard EX, but it still could go after a Pokemon like that Pidgeot, which Lucas is hiding.
Hiding over there. Brandon identifying it is still there. We see it over there.
It's just subconsciously like, do not
Please.
go after
don't
my
look
bird.
over here. Nothing's over here. Yep, it's going to be that jet energy is what brings this Chinchino into the active position
and
now.
this is the difference. This is a Pokemon that is a viable threat that can knock out just about anything on the field, especially next turn. It will threaten that Charizard EX, so you can't target the Archeops on the next turn because you're going to lose 2 prize cards.
Yes, yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of awkward here now, potentially for Lucas, that Chinchino. 4 special energy attached, 70 damage for each energy there. We're also seeing this Primal Turbo now for Brandon, looking through the deck here. For these other couple of energy.
Yeah, the question is how many energies do you feel like committing to Chinchino? And I think you have to put at least 1 on this Pokemon, potentially 2. I guess 2 is the true answer because you don't have Lost Vacuum. If you do that, then the respect from the Charizard does happen. The Entei has to handle the Chinchino, but Brandon's considering Mew in this spot.
Yeah, we've actually talked a bit about Mew EX this weekend. I don't think it's seen much as far as attacking goes, but we've talked about how it's a bit of an underutilized Pokemon. It's in a lot of decks, but it doesn't always seem to attack. What do you think about these energy being committed to the Mew EX here, Kyle?
Well, genome hacking unlocks a lot of different attacks. The problem is Control isn't known for having very strong attacking options.
True.
You could copy the Burning Darkness, but clearly that's not going to be enough to knock out the Charizard with all of those hit points. And I think there's a window now for Lucas. He can target that Archeops and remove that from play. Chinchino is no longer threatening the Charizard.
Yeah.
But it's on Brandon to chain together Boss's orders, try to maybe pressure these Pokemon here and remove them from play. Also, if you can combine this with an Iono, the hand is gone, the Pidgeot is gone, no searching is available. Who knows what happens from there?
Exactly. It's going to come down to what cards can both of these players draw now. Thornton!
Surprise! That is one way to remove some pressure, and I love seeing that, as now the Rotom is no longer a threat. Your opponent was staring at 4 prize cards that they'd love to take down. Instead, it looks like it's just the Entei V as the easy option, and your opponent is still up, so you have options with that counter catcher to take down a Pokemon like the Archeops still.
Yes, absolutely. Thornton coming out of nowhere here. I mean, these control decks, they have the text, they have the spice here. Switching a basic Pokemon from the discard pile for a basic that's already down here for you as well. Getting you to switch out these Pokemon if something goes down that maybe you didn't want to. And this is going to be a huge turn here for Lucas, taking out that threat of the Chinchino that had all those energy attached, committed to it there, but not enough to be a bunch of energy there. Where do we go from here now, Kyle?
You see the middle of the road play from the Entei. No longer using the counter catcher to take the knockout. Instead is going to remove the major threat of that Pokemon, but Archeops is still in play. We could see the Minccino potentially be loaded up by the Archeops. Mew is putting on enough pressure to copy Burning Rondo for some prize cards.
Woo!
Brandon would be 2 prize cards away from closing this one out. And if the Archeops goes unchecked, it just continues to fuel the mouse.
Yes, absolutely. As long as there's the energy there, Brandon can make sure those energy are being attached here off of this Archeops. And of course, manual attachments as well if the Archeops is unchecked there on the field. Of course, our players are also at 4-4 prize cards now. This is our game 3 between these players, so it is all up to these last few turns between them to see what happens here in our Masters Grand Finals. And it's all going to start with this Archeops bringing out these energy. How much do we even have left here, Kyle, that we're working with?
Not much. This looks like 3 or 4 energies remaining in the deck, so reaching for the knockout. Minccino is basically working as a check for Rare Candy Pidgeot at this point. Your opponent can no longer search that Pokemon out and Rare Candy and evolve and feel comfortable if Boss's Orders is the answer. I think the most important thing for Brandon is if you play Iono this turn, you are going to set up a pretty great situation for yourself. Your opponent with no access to a fire energy and just a 1 energy Charizard is the only way they could take you down.
Oh, yeah.
Forest Sealstone doesn't work on a Cleffa.
Well, and it was already used anyway. But that'd be pretty wild if it did. A little 30 HP, baby. But all right, yeah, this is it.
Oh, it's in the hand. It's ready to go.
Has the Iono here. That beautiful full art. Iono looks like debating playing it.
Play
He's
it.
gonna put it down. Yeah, Kyle, play it, play it. The crowd is clapping for that Iono play. And that's huge.
We didn't see the way that Lucas drew the cards, but I'm presuming that the fire energy could have been one of the cards found. So
yeah,
at least it's back in the deck at this point, but it's waiting on the bottom. There's no search ready to go at this point.
Yeah, 4 cards for each of these players, but those hands were shuffled, put to the bottom. Who knows what Lucas has in hand to work with. But Brandon here is going to bench another Minccino here and check the discard pile.
the biggest waste of time. But you know what? You've accomplished enough. You've earned it, Brandon.
Hey, you want to make sure you're not making any mistakes here in our grand finals. Capturing Aroma going to be played. We're going to see that heads here being rolled, bringing out an evolution Pokemon. That's what we like to see.
Yep, the Cinccino is in there, but
failed it.
Brandon does not want that. And this may be that the Cinccino's already in hand. You could potentially draw an extra card with this Mew if your hand is low enough.
Yeah, we know those like to pop out of the hand every now and again.
Surprise!
Surprise here. You got a Thornton? I already have it in hand here. But yeah, we're going to see that restart here from the Mew EX, drawing 1 card. Of course, up to 3 in hand, so 3 total cards now in hand for Brandon. Whoa. All right, so it's exactly what you said here. Burning Rondo being used against Lucas, unfortunately, from that Mew EX, copying the attack, taking the knockout here.
Lucas reads the mist energy. He's like, does that save me? I need some help. My opponent's down to just 2 prize cards remaining. Buddy Poffin trying to find a bailout option. And I mean... You can keep the Mew in the active, and it can trap you back.
Trap.
I think it has too many hit points anyways.
Yeah,
but yeah.
that's true.
we're just looking for any option here. Nest Ball is the find.
Nest Ball is the find. Indeed, it's going to bring out that Radiant Charizard here now for Lucas, or not.
None of these are great without energy.
Exactly. None of them, and that's exactly what Lucas is being faced with. It's just so difficult to look at this situation, try to map out how you can still win this when Brandon is just sitting at 2 prize cards left to take to be the winner here in Los Angeles.
Counting the energies now.
Yeah, true. You got to. And now this is a discard pile check.
I like this one.
That is relevant here. Yeah, Lucas making sure to count all of these resources that have been used, especially these energies.
14 energy, very important to note. Take a look at Brandon's prize cards. The last 2 energies up the top there. There is 1 final energy remaining. And what I didn't catch if it was a jet energy or not, but those 2 gift energies are energy 15 and 16. The 17th is still available. But that does lead to some avenues where you could lock a Pokemon in the active spot.
That is true. It could come down to just a super awkward situation of both of those
Lumineon
energy
in the active spot. There is one final energy to assist this Pokemon.
Yeah, this is actually quite scary. Could it just come down to this, Kyle?
Cleffa drawing. And he finds the fire energy.
Yo, the grasping draw. The free grasping draw off the Cleffa?
You are grasping at straws.
Yes,
and it works out just fine there.
It worked out.
Double jet energy is in there. So this energy, if it were to retreat the Lumineon, that is not enough.
Yeah.
Because after you move this Pokemon, you have to take a prize card in that same instance. It has to be finding the gift energy once more. But if you bring this Pokemon back up and then tempting trap, it is stuck.
Oh, this is really scary. I cannot believe it's coming down to this, Kyle, in this matchup. Is it just going to come down to the fact that the prize cards were a little awkward here now, and Lucas finally identifies the out here, or the potential out, looking at the knowledge of what resources Brandon has already used here in this matchup?
Obviously, we've been through a long game 3 here now, and we've seen game 1 and 2 as well. Prime Catcher is one of those cards we have to think about. I'm not sure if that's already been used this game, but that is one final out. And it's being used right now to take the prize, but this takes the gift energy. The problem is the Luminion can be stuck.
That is definitely a problem.
About this, Boo.
I am scared for this, Kyle.
That's the one bailout button, and it's being used right now. But it does bring Brandon down to one final prize card.
My heart is pumping here right now. Are we going to go down to one prize card here that Pidgey's wiped off the field? It's the energy. Of course, there was only that option here. That's beautiful.
What cards are remaining? Cleffa was grasping to find some assistance.
And we did for a second there.
Penny pickup. This Charizard is going to hang on. It can take the knockout. It is the only Pokemon in play, and it has 430 hit points.
Yeah, this is the final boss, like, in every single way possible at this point.
This is terrifying. The knockout is lined up. Yes, Chinchino can deal what? You have the one energy there. If you can Iono it back in, then you can have access to 2 more energies.
Oh
You're dealing what? You're close. You're doing 330. So if you played a vacuum, you could get there. That's not a card in the list.
That's not a card in the list, indeed. Well, that's it. This is what we have here now, Kyle. The knockout there. 2 prize cards off that Lugia VSTAR. 2 cards were drawn off that gift energy that was on the Lugia VSTAR as well for Brandon, and this is the draw for turn now.
All right, Chinchino has to deal as much damage as possible this turn so that a Mew could copy Burning Darkness to knock out this Charizard on the following turn. The #1 goal for Brandon, get rid of that hand from Lucas. Way too many cards, boss's orders, even a counter catcher in the spot would mean knockout on a V Pokemon to end the game and win the regional championship.
Yeah, this is all coming down to what disruption can we see here from Brandon so that Lucas cannot just run away with this win here. Ultra Ball is at least going to start us off here.
Is there another Luminion? This is a list that's playing only one single Luminion. If there's a world where you can play down enough cards, then maybe restart could help you find some additional resources. We haven't seen the hand yet. If Iono's already waiting there, you're in a great spot. Lucas showing off the Pal Pad and the boss's orders, but they're still counter catchers.
Yes, that's true.
What mind games are going on here?
I know.
He already was blocking that Pidgeot in the last few turns.
Exactly. I think there's mind games both ways for our opponents. Our opponents here. Gift energy.
Where is it? It is in the hand. It's played down now. These are the 2 biggest cards here for Lucas now. What can he find?
Brandon is going to cause me to have a heart attack here, Kyle. Gosh.
Doesn't even want to restart some additional cards. Who cares?
Yeah, this is it. This is the end game here for both of our players now. Brandon sitting at 1 prize card.
Counter-catcher found! The game is over! Lucas Xing is your LA regional champion! Unreal!
That is insane to see here. Lucas Xing, it's going to come down to this. Just finding that counter catcher, taking the win here. It could have gone either way, Kyle, to both of these players. But Lucas is going to be taking things home, going against the final boss of that Lugia VSTAR with a control-style archetype deck. And that was just bananas of a final.
I love my job. Wow. That is amazing. Everything played out there perfectly. Some excellent gameplay from both of our competitors. And what a way to close things out.